that taxi pulls up, and out walks Joe the insurance guy here on your Cornelius Custom Services 8 o'clock report. Glad to have you along with us on this fabulous Wednesday. And every Wednesday at about, a little after 8 o'clock, we bring him in. We talk about what's going on in the exciting, fabulous world of insurance.
Yes, it is exciting, Rick.
It is exciting.
Yes, it is exciting. I wanted to talk today. I had a situation with a client over the weekend and just kind of wanted to bring it to everybody's attention here on the airwaves. Wanted to talk a little bit about motorcycle insurance. Weather out there this morning is a little chilly, which is nice for some riders, but we're getting to that season where the weather's pretty predictable. Folks are going to want to be maybe getting out, hitting the open roads, and auto insurance and motorcycle insurance are similar, but they're also different in a lot of cases. And with this particular client, wanted to just kind of explore how when you get motorcycle insurance, most times on auto insurance, it's, you've got bodily injury and property damage if you hit somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that's state minimum requirement, 30, 60, 25. That's all you legally have to have.
Right.
There's also other stuff out there like uninsured motorists, which we can't recommend enough. Pretty much won't sell a policy without it. That covers you if somebody hits you that doesn't have any insurance or doesn't have enough. Mm-hmm. And then you've got other things like full coverage, comp and collision to repair your vehicle, things like that. So motorcycle insurance is similar in that there's no, you can have little or no insurance if you don't want to be insured on your motorcycle. I think you still have to have state minimum requirements, but one of the things that differs, though, is you have your bodily injury and property damage on motorcycle, and it's similar, but the difference being on bodily injury, it covers the passenger on your motorcycle. So everybody close their eyes for a second unless you're driving, and imagine Rick and I on a motorcycle.
Don't do that.
Yes.
Never imagine that.
As I'm holding on to Rick as we're driving down the road on a motorcycle. And so we'll paint the scenario, and this is very similar to what happened to a client of mine over the weekend. You have an area of construction. You've got one area of paved blacktop, the other area that's been stripped that's about to be paved, and you go from one to the other. You're changing lanes or whatever, and there's usually that lip, about a 2 to 3 inch lip of new asphalt versus old asphalt. Mm-hmm. Had a client going down the road, went to cross over and go over that lip, and on a car it's probably not a big deal. On a motorcycle, a little bit of a different story.
It's a bigger deal.
Yeah, it's a bigger deal. So put Rick and I on this motorcycle. We're going go over that lip, lose the front end, and actually end up laying the bike down. In this particular situation, the passenger or the driver didn't really have that many injuries. The bike itself was able to be driven home. A few scratches, but nothing really intense. The downside was the passenger, the person on the back, was hurt pretty bad and actually is still in the hospital, not locally, but in the hospital, and suffering really bad head injuries and brain swelling and things of that nature. First thing I can always tell you, even though it's not a state law, you should
a helmet.
Probably wear a helmet. Yeah. Folks weren't wearing a helmet, and there's many arguments, pro and con. My issue and my thought is, if you got to wear, if you're required to wear a helmet riding a bicycle, why should you not be one riding a motorcycle? But that's just me. I don't own a bike, so everybody can dogpile me for that. But anyway, they weren't wearing helmets. But to get to the whole insurance matter, if you just have state minimum coverage in a car, 30, 60, 25, nobody in your car is covered if you get into an accident. You're covering that other person. The flip side is on motorcycle insurance, that 30, 60, 25, that bodily injury actually can cover your passenger. It won't cover the driver. So in our scenario with Rick and I'm the passenger. I fall off or we get into this accident. Rick's okay, the bike's okay, but me, I have some really heavy bodily injuries. That bodily injury coverage can actually cover me as the passenger. It won't cover Rick, but it'll cover me as the passenger. So a little bit something to be aware of for folks out there that may be, jumping on the bike, taking a weekend trip somewhere, which in this weather is great to do. Maybe head down South Texas, take those windy roads down there. You always want to check before you leave. Make sure you've got the appropriate coverage, especially now. I mean, you come around the corner on a bike, you run into a hog, you run into a deer, you got somebody on the back with you. You want to make sure there's enough coverage out there to make sure those folks are taken care of. It's kind of the good passenger rule, I call it. And it's just a good idea to make sure that your coverages are where they need to be.
I guess if folks, when they get motorcycles, they don't think about that sort of thing.
Not really.
I mean, and they probably need to call and check up. I mean, does motorcycle insurance like car insurance? I mean, does it? I guess, as times go by, prices and things go up, you need to come back and redo it. Or
you do. A lot of it has to do with the type of bike that it is. It's also a good idea. We've seen in coverages when we're covering folks out there, it's a good idea if you can to be a member of like a riding club, like the Harley ride. I think it's, and again, don't dogpile me for this, but like Harley clubs, motorcycle riding clubs, if you can become an affiliated member of those. Reason being is a lot of times those clubs will preach safety for riders, being safe when you're out there on the road. So being a member of those clubs, sometimes with certain companies can afford you discounts for that. How many years you've been riding is also a good idea. But the type of bike that it is also is a key factor in determining how much you're going to pay for insurance. Just if you're a 50, 60-year-old guy that's kind of getting to that stage in life where he's got a little more time on his hands and wants to get on a cruiser and just have something to kind of roll around in, probably going to be relatively inexpensive, whereas you got an 18-year-old kid that decides he wants to get a, Yamaha Ninja, if that even exists, Kawasaki Ninja, and tear around on a city. That's probably not going to be the cheapest insurance you can find out there. But, for the most part, motorcycle insurance is relatively inexpensive. It's something you need to have, especially if you're going to have somebody on the back riding with you. And you want to make sure that they're covered in the event something happens. And please always use safety out there. Wear the appropriate gear. I know it's coming up to be 100, 110 degrees out there, and you maybe don't want to strap on leather. But I'm telling you, shorts, a tank top, and no helmet riding 70 miles an hour down the road on a motorcycle is probably not the right gear to have.
Yeah. When you hit that pavement, it kind of messes you up.
Yeah, it'll mess you up pretty good. Make your arms like hamburger.
Yep. Well, Joe, if folks need to get a hold of you, ask questions about these things, how's the easiest way to do it?
Really simple, 549-2525. You can come on up to the second floor of the Sierra Bank building, talk to Ann, Lynette, myself. We'll get you squared away and make sure you're covered the way you need to be.
Get hold of them today. That's Brian Insurance, and that's Joe. So go by and see him today for all your insurance needs. All right, about to get into this Cornelius Custom Services 8 o'clock hour. We'll get things kicked off with Sticks and David Lee Roth. Coming your way, sports on the way.